There is some conflict between the trend towards large media groups and the other end of the startup radio and TV stations. There have been some interesting movements in 2019, particularly with one major radio group. Ofcom have opened the field for large media groups to compete with national BBC stations such as Radio 1 and 2. The result of that is that the stations under their umbrella have lost some of their local feel in many places. Many breakfast presenters have been fired. There is an opinion that these large media groups are going in the wrong direction. In my opinion, you shouldn't be taking on audiences of the BBC unless you have a very strong and clear strategy and can implement it effectively. Indeed, the large media groups doing this would say that their growth by share is now over 5%. But it can result in a standardisation of media output, as each large media group tries to outdo the other over the same audiences and therefore in the same way. A Me Too competitive mentality. I personally feel the future of good radio and TV lies in community radio with its local relevance and diversity. I do think it's interesting to watch the trends coming round full circle. It started in the 60s and the 70s when it was much more fashionable to play the music people wanted and talk about their particular area in which they lived. But it went away from that when commercial radio just chased the money and looked for bigger and bigger audiences. But now small and start-up community radio stations are starting to emerge. Ofcom is giving them permission to spread their coverage area, and that means that several of the latest community stations have actually got permission to put up a second transmitter, which may lead to more listeners. So when Ofcom gives them permission to earn more money, because it hasn't so far, I think this is the direction in which radio will go, because people like local. They like to know what's going on in their area. And that's what community radio is so good at.